interest in buying Chase Bank, a bank that has been placed under receivership?
Obviously, this is a positive development. I think Chase Bank is an extremely attractive bank. It's one of the banks that has cracked the SME space, which is a space that a lot of the big tier one corporate banks have been struggling to get into for many years.
Correct.
For good reason, because of the simple dynamics. So I suspect that this could be a fairly easy merger and acquisition process. But the question is, are any of the suitors aligned with the principles that made Chase Bank such a great bank, because they understood their target market in a very unique way? Will these values still be captured? So I think that's what we'll be looking forward to.
Abdul?
Alhamdulillah. God be praised. This is very positive. It's a very good sign. And it shows that the Kenyan structure, it's not systemic, endemic. And the structures are very strong. The economy is very strong. It is resilient. The mere fact that you can have suitors coming in so quickly, obviously they've done the due diligence even in the first instance. I think it's very good. And by the way, Chase has a window called Chase Iman. And on the part of the Islamic banking fraternity, we have what we call the door, the first community bank, because we are exclusive. And I wish them well, inshallah khairi.
Perhaps you're a lawyer. What are some of the legal implications of this merger or acquisition? What is likely to happen?
I'm not an acquisition expert.
Okay.
So to that extent, I would want to stay away from the ifs and buts.
It's fine.
Let me stay where I am at the moment.
Jaffa, we're seeing 5 suitors, both local and international, having interest. How soon do you expect Chase Bank to be reopened, if this is to
I hope
be concluded?
As soon as tomorrow. Because to me, on my side, is an indication of faith in the whole banking industry.
All right.
And irrespective of which side of divide you are, it is important that we get things done fast and quick.
Okay.
But more importantly, the way the directors mentioned, is that we are looking at areas of convergence. Chase Iman has a window, which is an Islamic window. We operating a fully fledged Sharia compliant bank. And it's an addition on our side that at least we have we are growing together. So if the window is going to be operational, the bank it's going to be operational, it's an addition to the market diversification process.
And Ken, of course, I did see Abdul Hamid requesting for a pass on that question, but perhaps just give us a perspective of what are some of the legal implications that might happen or we might see in the sense that Chase Bank is to be bought off.
Let me begin by saying the merger and acquisition process is normally a fairly lengthy process. The first step is what you call a due diligence. And this is where the shareholders of both banks and come and explore whether there's a convergence in the business models. Because we have 42 banks, each with very unique business models. Once the due diligence test is passed, now it's a matter of balance sheet capacity. So most likely these are going to be tier 1 banks that have the financial muscle to be able to take over. Then you have pretty much what we call the softer issues around branding. Do we want to completely absorb them, or do you want to have them as a subsidiary? I remember the CFC Stanbic situation where you have a international bank coming in and acquiring a local bank. That could be very different from 2 local banks coming together. So that will entirely depend on the choice of suitors who come in.
Kansiabu, it seems like you finally have something to say about this.
Of course, whoever is coming in to be a suitor, firstly I must congratulate, I must say, the central bank governor and his team for having come up with the fact that they have come up with a position and a declared position. At the same time, the fact that there are suitors, and the suitors could be local, the suitors could be foreign. And they obviously must have done an immediate due diligence to thereafter be able to do the proceeds, to be able to put an offer on the table. And I fully agree that this is the resilience of the economy that we are in, and the resilience of Kenyans. And like I said, inshallah khair, all will be well.
As we wrap up, Jafar.
But one thing which is very important is that the niche under which Chase Bank used to operate under, you have these tier 1 banks and you have these smaller banks. Definitely, I think the regulator is very cognizant that we need to have a market which is respecting the need of every segment.
Yeah.
We don't want to see smaller banks being pushed outside the market because you have bigger banks with big muscles. Consolidation and something like that. If anything of that kind, definitely it must be market driven than being pushed by the regulator himself, so that you give people an equal balance and space to grow.
And Ken, you mentioned that the merger and acquisition is a fairly lengthy process, which doesn't sound good for the customer who wants their money tomorrow. I don't know, how soon is soon?
I mean, if you talk to a typical investment banker, they'll tell you it could easily take 9 months to do a proper merger and acquisition process. But given the circumstances that we are in and given the extreme situation, this is more likely going to be an expedited process. Given that
farmers' money is stored there, we have LSK.
Right.
They used to bank with Chase Bank.
Right. So this all depends on how the shareholders and how much access to capital the shareholders can pump in, because at the end of the day, this is what the governor said. Same thing for Imperial Bank. It's all about how much shareholders can pump into the process.
If I might add in, Ken, the mere fact that the central bank governor has gone on the media to confirm the position, yes, there are processes, but I'm very sure that the central bank governor knows exactly what he's doing. He has made it very clear that he knows the need of the common man. He knows the need of the economy. And I'm sure the mechanisms would be expedited now that the declaration has already been made that there is an interest in the first instance. I think it's good.
Okay. And gentlemen, as we wrap up, of course, the big fear now in the minds of many Kenyans is which bank is next? And I mean, it also baffles me as well, and I don't have the answers. Should we expect any more banks being placed under receivership, Ken?
I think the central bank was very clear that there is a facility available for any bank under distress. That said, they were not very clear as to how much, and even the Kenyan Bankers Association came in to say that it was not very clear how the implementation. Often for banks, and this I can tell you, is there's always a hesitant to approach the central bank for capital, because sometimes that could trigger other sort of like queries that might not be appreciated. So I think I'd say for now, I think most banks are fairly safe. I think the tier 3 banks are all well liquidated. And I don't expect to see, especially with the trauma of the last 1 week, I don't expect to see any more receiverships taking place soon.
Many thanks, gentlemen. We've been speaking to Abdul Hamid Abo, a director at First Community Bank, as well as Jafar Muhammad, who is also a manager who handles Sharia audit, and Ken Gishinga, an economist. So here, that's the latest analysis regarding what's happening in the banking sector. So in a nutshell, Sophia, perhaps depositors with Chase Bank could be looking to better days